Welcome to the Wednesday, December 11th, 2024 business meeting of the Richmond Community School Board of Trustees. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could have the reading of the mission statement, please.
Richmond Community Schools guide students on pathways of learning to a future of limitless possibilities.
Thank you. The reading of the vision statement.
Richmond Community Schools, a collaborative community nurturing mind, body, and spirit to prepare students for lives of choice, purpose, and service.
Thank you. First item on our agenda are celebrations. Dr. Wright.
President Button, trustees, I want to ask that our Director of Student Services and Communications, Mrs. Bridget Hazel Baker, joins us for tonight's honorees. Mrs. Hazel Baker, welcome back, ma'am.
I just want you all to take a look at some of the artwork that we do have on the walls a little bit. You can kind of see the dilemma that our board members had to choose some of this artwork tonight. But I would like to call Abigail and McKenna up here for me for a quick second. Good. All right, so Paisley has a previous engagement, so she's not able to attend. But girls, can you guys come up here and introduce yourself and tell us why you're here tonight? What's going on? Why were you invited tonight? I don't know how to talk. You went to my son's birthday party. Come on.
She's recovering.
So she's the first place winner of our Christmas card contest. There's her artwork up there. And then also McKenna is here as well. And her artwork was third place. And yeah, there we go, right there. Right. So Abigail, go ahead and tell me a little bit. Actually, who did you bring tonight? Who came with you tonight?
My sister, my brother, and my other brother, my dad, and my mom.
All right. And is there anybody else here from your school?
Miss Green,
And who's Miss Green?
my art teacher.
Anybody else from your school here?
Miss Jeff.
Anybody else? All right, so will you tell me a little bit about what made you pick this kind of this theme to color?
So I was kind of thinking, what would like Santa come in?
Oh. Just speak a little bit louder. There's a microphone up there. I know it doesn't look like a microphone, but just try to speak a little bit louder for me.
I was thinking what Santa would come into during Christmas.
Do you have a fireplace like this at home?
No.
Okay. Got a chimney. All right, good. And McKenna, tell me a little bit about you. Who did you bring with you today?
I brought my mom and my dad.
All right. And is there anybody else here
My
from your
art
school?
teacher, Miss Green.
Miss Green. Okay, good. And tell me a little bit about your artwork. What directed you to your art?
I saw a picture and I kind of wanted to draw what that was like a little bit.
Good. Now, have you guys ever been in any sort of coloring contest or anything before, or painting, or do you like doing crayons or paint? Yeah. Anything else? What are your favorite subjects at school?
I really like writing. I like science.
Okay. Now, what grade are you both in?
Fourth. Yeah, I'm in fourth too.
All right. You guys have any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I just want to comment. I love the R on both of them and the attention to detail, the gingerbread cookies on the plate and the wrapping that are decorative. Both of you did a great job. So thank you.
You ladies did a great job. I definitely have to agree. The details on that, the red, blues. I mean, it just got me festive over here. So good job.
What I'm curious to know is with regard to the presents that are under the tree, if you had it your way, if those presents were for you, what would you want them to be?
A phone.
A phone? There you go, Father. And what would you want your present to be?
Probably the same thing.
The same. Okay. Well, good luck with that. And again, tremendous job, ladies. Tremendous job.
Great. So we're gonna go ahead. Can you hand these to Miss Bratton? Would you come up here so we can get a picture real fast? So Dr. Wright and Ms. Brown both sign these for you guys. And then hold Kinsley's back and we'll know for sure. I'm just gonna get a photo real fast. Can you get them turned out? There you go. Yeah. Okay. Sorry guys, one more time. Yeah, you're good. You're good. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay, then. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Excuse me, Dr. Wright, before they go back,
Hold on, wait.
we've been doing this for so long, but both of them have the same art teacher. Could you please, I mean, if she's their inspiration, could you do the photo again with your art teacher?
Absolutely. We'll get to that. We're gonna do it again with this green photo. Oh my gosh, I'll get behind you. All right, friends, all right, come on. You're right. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, Miss Green. Right, and we have a second celebration, a long one coming. So I wrote a little something here. We are thrilled to celebrate our Richmond Red Devils, who have been crowned the North Central Conference volleyball champions. Under the leadership of Coach Daryl Morgan, who has been also awarded the Coach of the Year, our team has showcased exceptional talent and teamwork. Standout players for this year recognized for their performance: for first team all conference senior Madison Spradling is a setter, junior Giselle James, middle blocker, sophomore Taylor George, left side attacker, and then also second team all conference senior help me guys, Shaylin. Yep. All right, good. Sexton, a middle blocker, senior Holly Trotter, left side attacker. So ladies, Mr. Morgan, will you come up here for a moment so we can answer some questions? Congratulations. And you just said it's been 21 years?
21 years.
21 years since we won the NCC.
Wow. Awesome job.
So congratulations.
21 years.
So can you guys introduce yourselves, please?
I'm Taylor George from Two Guitars.
Katie Matina.
Daryl Morgan.
I'm Nia Jones.
I'm Robert Scout. I'm Jalen Luker.
So tell me a little bit about this season. Tell me about the NCC. Where did you guys play at?
We hosted the NCC tournament. Due to the changes in the conference structure and the way that was constructed this year, they reorganized the whole tournament, and you played one conference match during the season, and then you played 5 people in one day. And we swept the tournament.
Everything.
We beat everybody.
That's amazing. And now I know not all your players are here because some are playing
Club ball.
club ball or
and
sport.
A couple of seniors work. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So what are your goals for next season?
reload. Reload. We know conference wise where we're at. And we should be in about, I don't know, probably the same scenario. The one thing we don't know yet is who will host the tournament. You know, there are tremendous advantages in hosting a tournament. You get to format it and you can use that to your advantage if you like, there are things that you can do to control the flow of the game during the course of the day. And we took full advantage of that. For sure.
And how many seniors did you have this year?
4. We graduated 4 seniors. All 4 seniors are currently being recruited at the collegiate level. Holly Trotter's not here. Holly has signed. The other 3 are dragging their feet, waiting for better offers. I don't know how that plays out. But it's been probably, 20 years since there's been a volleyball player signed. And we are blessed to have 4 kids that have that opportunity. So that's a positive for sure.
So are you guys now doing limited contact practice with, 8th graders coming up, or how are your feeder programs going?
We just got assigned our limited contact
Okay.
facilities and that kind of thing. And we have been discussing this. We've been assigned to Charles. We're practicing Charles from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening. The basketball courts hang over the volleyball court. It doesn't work very well. But we would love to figure out a way to get back over in the Tiernan Center in some fashion. We're not letting that space go to waste. Currently, we have the sixth, seventh, and eighth graders in there. They're in there tonight. I came from there. So we are taking full advantage of that space. But it is not at all conducive to a high school team being in there. We can teach the fundamentals, we can do that kind of thing, but we need to train in a facility where you can play volleyball.
Right. Is there anything else you guys like to add? Questions?
I would love for Mr. Morgan, if you could share with all of us some of your background with volleyball, because I remember when we worked together at Hibbard, you telling me some of that and being pretty impressed.
I played in high school. I grew up in Wisconsin and played in high school where they have high school ball. This is something that Indiana has embraced in the last 5 years. Last year, for the first year, the IHSA has approved men's volleyball as an interscholastic sport. Last year, 100 Richmond students approached the athletic director about adding men's volleyball as a sport, and we're told that that's not something we want to entertain right now because due to Title IX concerns, you also have to have a reciprocating of women's sport. Well, they've added women's wrestling this year, so the door is open to add men's volleyball. So y'all are aware of that. They had 100 kids sign a survey asking that they add men's volleyball as a sport, and that was declined. But they are reapproaching that this year. Men's volleyball is a spring sport, and I would love to see it get off the ground. As you guys have watched the collegiate game develop on the women's side, all those college women's teams have men's teams that practice against them. I want that. I want boys to play against these girls to push this envelope for these girls a little bit. So that's big. My background was high school volleyball in Wisconsin. I played college volleyball at Ball State University. I played volleyball for the Air Force prior to going to Ball State. I played at Ball State University, played 2 national championships. I've had an opportunity to play internationally a little bit. I played against the Soviet Union. Coached collegiately at Miami of Ohio and was the youngest head coach in the nation when I left there and went to the University of Cincinnati. I've been blessed in the world of volleyball. I have nothing but positive things to say about my sport. And I want these players to experience the same opportunities that I've had. And, it's like I walked in all their shoes. I was that sophomore, that freshman stepping on a volleyball court for the first time. And there's more to it. There's a lot more out there, and I want them to go there. I want them to have those chances.
I just wanted to say I was a volleyball player. It's still I don't play, but if I could, it's my ultimate favorite sport to play, and it really is an accomplishment winning in CC. I don't think people do understand that for volleyball historically it's been a one-day tournament, so you're playing all of your opponents. Sounds like they switched up slightly, but it's always competitive.
It was big. It was big weddings. I for people who weren't there, getting into the finals of that thing was big. Going into it, I formatted it, of course, and I took full advantage of every opportunity that we had. And going into it, in my mind, if everybody played their best volleyball, we would have finished third, in my mind. Now, you never know how it's going to play out, but in my mind, we're going to finish third. The team ahead of us is going to be from Lafayette, and then Kokomo was a question mark in my mind. We played Kokomo in what amounted to be the semifinals, and we beat them 25-9. And at that point in time, I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at.
Licking your chops, aren't you?
What?
You're licking your chops.
Yeah. We're in the finals. I know where we're going. But I've expressed this to the girls, and they all lived it. So you'll understand when I say this. In the finals, we played Lafayette Jefferson.
Yep.
Lafayette Jeff. And they were favored to win, for sure. They beat us the first game 25-22. But in volleyball, there's always a couple points that if they go your way, You know, that's big in getting to the end line. And we made a couple plays that cost us. That's the bottom line. I mean, that's part of the game. Volleyball is a very negative game. You know, you win and beat yourself. It's a matter of making errors or keeping the ball in play. They beat us 25-22 in game one. In game two, we came out and it was a very even game with both teams ahead and behind at different points in time. 20-20, I took a timeout and we stopped as a team. And it was very intense in the huddle. And when I say that, I don't mean to say that like in a negative fashion. It wasn't like high pressure, but it was extremely focused, and there was a lot. They were very driven in the huddle. And you looked around, there were players. I mean, like you're making eye contact with them, and they don't even know. They're not even. There are tears coming down their cheeks. It's like it is intense. I mean, I looked around the huddle and I made eye contact with Maddie Ferris. She's assistant coach. And Maddie looked at him and she said, "We're going to win." And we were going to win. There was no doubt. But that was game two. When we got to game three, game two, it ended 27-25. We won. Game three, we came out and it was played very even. But ultimately, that game came down to the end of it. You know, it's like 1st to 15 wins this thing. Well, that's not how it played out. We ended up beating them 17-15 in the third game. And it was total elation total relief. I think I mean, they kind of sucked all the air. It's like, oh, it's like at the end of that game. But everybody was very exuberant and excited by the whole situation. I mean, it was great. It was a good win, no doubt. But by having control of the game, I laid out our schedule so that when we played all of our games in the Tiernan Center. I did not want to play in the back gym, you know, the small gym. The ceiling's low. There's a lot of things you deal with back there. We played every game in the Tiernan Center, and I scheduled it so that every game that we played, we had to get better. So I started with our weakest opponent first, and when we get to the end in the finals, we're going to be playing the best volleyball of the day, and that's where we were at. That's what we did.
Well, congratulations again
Thank you.
for a wonderful season. I appreciate you guys coming. Do you mind if we get a photo real quick, please?
However you want it.
How many seniors do you have this year?
How many seniors are in here?
I don't have any, how many do you have
Next year.
3, 4,
You're 5 here.
5 seniors next year.
Wow.
5.
Congratulations. Oh, good. Got you too, man. Thank you.
Coach Morgan. Coach Morgan,
Yes.
thank you, and to the young ladies. Out of adversity comes resiliency, and it nurtures victory.
I appreciate that.
Very much.
I appreciate your comment the other day out there at GW30. And you stopped in and they were having this with themselves. Appreciate it. Thank you. Stop it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Well done.
Anytime.
Now, keep me posted on what's going on with that soccer thing.
Yes.
Where you go with the goalie and keep me posted on that.
I
All
got
right.
soccer. All right, gotcha.
Next, we have public commentary. Cindy, do we have anyone signed up for public commentary?
We do one.
Okay. Public commentary. Those who wish to comment at this evening's board meeting, the maximum time to speak is 5 minutes. Please keep your comments fact-based and within the time permitted. Comments are not to be personally directed or abusive. Comments recognizing the work of staff and students are always welcome. However, critical remarks concerning specific school personnel or students are to be made through the complaint process available in policy 9130. School board members do not respond to public comments during the meeting, but the board president will send you a personal follow-up email. Please state your name and address before speaking.
Erica Pearson.
Hello, I'm Erica Pearson. I live on College Avenue here in Richmond. You've all heard from me many times. I'm here today just to say thank you because I've had the opportunity as a representative of the Equity Coalition to attend many board meetings recently and also participate in the strategic planning process. And I've just been so grateful for the deep caring that's been shown by all the members of the school board and the administration for all the children in Richmond, and also the way in which input from community members has been really welcomed and respected. And I don't think that's necessarily always what happens everywhere. So thank you for that. Thank you for all the time and energy that goes into reviewing all of the policies as part of this process. I've been reading a lot of the policies too, as have some of the others of us. There has been so much work that has gone into that and so much more that still remains to be done. And the other thing that has struck me is how much work is going to go into implementing all of that. So thank you for allowing us to be a part of that process. And we look forward to continuing to supporting that work in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item 4.01, the e-learning team. Dr. Wright.
President Button, trustees, I'm going to ask that Mr. Tim Arndt, as the courageous show representative of our e-learning team, provide us with a presentation regarding not only our artificial intelligence, but also some of the e-learning offerings and opportunities that our faculty, staff, and students have in RCS. And so, Mr. Arnold, we appreciate you being with us this evening, sir.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. There's going to be a slide up here on one side, and then I'm actually going to be joined by Jeremy Hill, another member of our team, third member of our team, Jody Robinson, that was not available tonight. And we're just going to give you a brief overview, and we'll do it as quickly as we can.
Mr. Hill is joining us virtually, is that correct?
Mr. Hill is joining us virtually, and kind of ties in with what we're talking about, artificial intelligence tonight. And I'll let him explain that when we see his face up there. I'll go ahead and get started. On November 30th of 2022, so just a little over 24 months ago, ChatGPT opened to the world. And it changed education overnight, as it did many areas of life. And so we've been working ever since that day to prepare our teachers, our students, and our corporation to address that in the best way possible. And so November 30th of 2022, we had our first professional development ready to go by January of 2023. So a little over a month later, we did a full corporation professional development for every teacher in the corporation on January 6th of 2023. And that started a long litany of things. And you have a copy of that. It's a stapled document that came with your information tonight that just shows everything we've done since that point up until tonight. So obviously we're not going to review all that, but just to keep it short, we've done building level PD, we've done TikTok PD, we've purchased books for our learning library, we've gone to conferences, and we've done presentations at conferences. And all of that is in that document that you have in front of you. Jeremy, anything you want to add in this particular section?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Mr. Hill.
Sorry to be good tonight. I'm currently in Detroit, Michigan. I have a presentation today with MAPSA. It is the charter school organization for the state of Michigan. And I was doing training on AI with them and the health is opposed to those schools. We've done a lot of work with the two major AI programs that are used throughout the country, Magic School and Divot. We've had some wonderful opportunities to work directly with those companies, and our students have got the chance to do some of that too. And we're all fully trained in both of those programs. So we've got a lot of PD, and it's been a good time.
So that really takes care of kind of the past. We're going to go past, present, and future. There will be no Scrooges and no ghosts, just past, present, and future of AI here tonight. So as Mr. Hill is fond of saying, AI is a toddler. It's just over 2 years old. And so what you can best do is be flexible, and put up guidelines or put up guardrails where you need them, and then proceed forward. And so the lessons of the past are really in that document that you have. Our current opportunities are the opportunities in the present. Based on all that we learned throughout that first year, we actually wrote a digital learning grant with the state of Indiana, with the Indiana Department of Education last spring, and that provided an AI tool called Magic School for the 24-25 school year. So we're just finishing our first semester with that tool. And we've done PD with that. We continue to do PD on that with teachers, both in buildings and through email and any way we can get it in front of them. I just actually today solidified 2 more PD dates in January, one at Test and one at Dennis. So that continues. But while it felt to us like we were building the plane in the sky so we could land, I know it was even scarier for people who had students in front of them wondering about all these opportunities. And so part of choosing Magic School for us was to put up appropriate guardrails for teachers and students. We wanted a spot where our teachers could learn to use this responsibly, and ultimately our students can learn to use this responsibly. And they can do it without any fear of any of their personal information being put out there, because there are many, many AI platforms that do harvest your information. Magic School is the one we chose and wrote the grant for because we were secure in the fact that that would not happen. So that's where we are in the present.
Yeah, if we had our students just using something like GPT or any other LLMs, but the problem is the data that you put out there. So if teachers are using it to feedback on assignments, or students are using it for any kind of draft, that information is open to everyone. It goes out to the cloud. But then anything we use there in Magic School gets housed in Magic School. It's used to make that AI focus on education. I mean, it's stronger, and it protects that data. So that's really important for us. We've got a really great opportunity for our students on my tech team. They got to test some things out from Magic School. And when we first got it, they spent 2 weeks trying to break it for the company. They did a great job of testing that. We sent that feedback in. Magic School tweeted about one of our students, and he was really talking some trash to the other ones. But then we presented at a conference in Indiana, and 3 of the girls on the team, they got a picture with Magic School, and they tweeted out about them with the picture. And poor Ozzy, he lost that one. They had a lot of fun doing that. It's been a great way for them to really help develop the product. So we're super excited about that. We had another project where all of my kids chose 2 teachers, and they had to teach each of those 2 teachers 2 different tools from Magic School. And we love to do media that way. The kids love it, the teachers love it. It's a good opportunity to hear from somebody other than myself. And when the kid walks into your room and wants to show you how to use the tool, it's hard to stand up.
So as we prepare for the future of AI, we want to make sure we continue to develop AI literacy for our teachers and our students. So we've incorporated AI instruction with our blended learning cadre that we do for teachers yearly, and with our new teacher training, that's included in there. As I said before, we've got upcoming PDs in January at both Test and Dennis to continue working with Magic School. We even showed our teachers how to use AI when we were in a low, no-tech environment during our cyber event, because they still had access to it at home. And you can literally go into Magic School and say, I need a lesson plan or a 3-day project in a no-tech environment that does these things, and it'll create it for you. And so they were able to use that. We also have introduced something called the News Illiteracy Project, which I've done some work with another organization, Keep Indiana Learning, and it is really, really hitting home that important skill of understanding what AI provides in the area of news, information, misinformation, disinformation, and all those things as well. We also have some more AI sessions that will be coming at our newest awarded Summer of Learning Conference, which will be June 12th, coming in 2025. So if I could sum all that up, some of the mantras that we've used working both with teachers and students, when it first came out and we were all a little bit scared, what we said was, let's plan instead of ban. Let's make our plans to deal with this the best way we know how, and not ban first and then have to back up. One of the biggest things we said to teachers was, we're not going to outsource the thinking. We're just going to outsource the doing. The doing can be done robotically, but the thinking still belongs to the human. All right. And so the English majors in the world, the prompt writers in the world, they're going to rule the future of AI because they know how to write things to get specific ends. And then the last thing I'll leave you with is A lot of times we're all guilty of wearing our today glasses as the metaphor, and occasionally we got to pull those off and wear our tomorrow glasses. And that's really what AI has forced us to do. It's made us all a little bit uncomfortable. But as we've worked through this and with teachers and students, we feel good about where the future is.
Yeah, what we're really trying to do is we're using AI as a thought partner. So if you remember back to when you were in college or in school and you and your roommate or classmates were editing each other's paper, that's really what we're trying to do with AI. It's a tool like anything else. We're starting to use Magic School Classrooms where teachers build the tools. There was an incredible one sent to me Sunday morning when I was working on some things, and a science teacher had set up a historical bot so that the kids are trying to solve these riddles and figure out which element is being discussed. And after those elements, they're talking to the person that invented the periodic table. And that's really cool, the elements there. So we really enjoyed that. We've also done some things with helping students with dyslexia and also helping our EL students, because there's a lot of stuff you can do in there with translation and text speech, text to speech, things like that. We also really enjoyed our partnership with Ivy Tech. They're a co-sponsor of our summer learning, a lot of things recently with them. Working with AI and what's expected with the next level after high school. So those all been a lot of really good experiences.
So we really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight, talk about the past, present, and future of AI at Richmond Community Schools.
Mr. Arnold, Mr. Hill, we definitely appreciate you all. Board questions, comments?
I do. So you talked about DFIT, and so there's Magic School versus DFIT. So could you speak a little bit about like why Magic School versus why DFIT?
Yeah, so DFIT is a wonderful, wonderful product. We still encourage our teachers to use it. When you write these grants, you're only going to get so much money. And for our money, knowing that we wanted both teachers and students to use it, DFIT doesn't really have a student-facing portion, and the grant itself asked for there to be a student-facing portion. Okay. And so Magic School was our choice there. Now, we actually have met with the owners and operators of both of those. When we go to conferences, those people are there, so we get to meet them and talk to them and say, hey, we love your product, we love your program, and they say, hey, what can we help to do to make it better? DFIT is a wonderful program. Both of these companies, among others, are filled with teachers, former teachers, administrators, people who understand education at a base level. It just happened that Magic School had that student-facing portion, and the money fit. So,
Thank you. No,
yeah, we will.
Also, most of these programs are a freemium model, so we can use a lot of DFIT for free. We just don't have all the parts unlocked. And so when we compared the two, the parts that we wanted unlocked, it was heavier on Magic School than it was DFIT. But that student-facing side was really important because we want our adults to know how to use it, but it's super important for us that our kids know how to use it. Because when they go out into the workforce and they go on to the next level of education, the digital gap between kids that are using it and know what they're doing and those that don't, that's one of the greatest divides we've seen in modern history. So we want to make sure that we're up to speed.
Yeah, I will mention on the DFIT side, we had secured for Richmond teachers full access to their premium platform through December. We just got an email today that if they go in and log in, they can have it through June 30th, 2025. So if they want to use it at its full and best, they can still have access to it.
Yeah, so the teachers can use it and make that stuff, and the stuff that they make is theirs to keep forever. So then they can push it out through Canvas. So we're getting the best of both worlds that way.
Mrs. Brunt, you have a question?
I was just going to ask if, let's say I'm a 10th grade English teacher at the high school and I've required my students to write a paper over the book they've read. Do we have some sort of AI detector? I know Turnitin is one we use it, I guess, but others.
So I would say that what's being developed now are more guidelines than policies. Mm-hmm. I think we've always had plagiarism type policies. That's not really my lane. My lane is to take whatever guidelines and policies are developed by the administrative team and you all and make sure it gets implemented. But since you asked that question, I think that teachers are getting better at saying, and especially through Magic School, here are the AI tools we'd like you to use or we'll allow you to use. And then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Yes, the products that we ask for are going to need to change, right? Because everybody's going to use these things. If we ban it, we have an equity issue. But if we teach them how to use it responsibly, then they have an opportunity to learn how to do that. So I was working with a teacher just the other day. I said, okay, so we know what your end goal is, but let's see which parts of this process we could use AI for with students. And then if you want them to write that final part on pencil and paper in front of you, good for you. All right, they've done the work and the thinking. Now they're just going to write the final part in front of you, so you don't have to worry about all the copy and paste issues. So it's tweaks like that people are experiencing. It. We all know change is tough, but for those of us that spent years teaching about, the 5-paragraph essay, we're going to have to make some changes.
Well, and the real shift is that application is much more important than recall now. And think about your everyday lives. When someone asks you a question, what's the first thing to do? Like if you don't know the answer,
Google it. You Google it.
you look it up. If you don't know it, you're not punished. You just have to find a way to get that information. So really true education now is showing what you can do with the tool, not that you've memorized something. And it's still important, like Tim said, we, from the beginning of this, when we started with Canvas, all of those things, blended learning is very important. So there's still a time for pencil paper, and there's also a time for the tool. So it's really important for us to teach how and when to use the tool in the right manner.
And one of the things that we just discussed last week as corporate-wide leaders is the effectiveness of peer-to-peer leadership. And so with that being said, we know that at Richmond High School and other areas of our corporation, there are educators that are courageously diving headfirst, and those that have developed such a craft and a capacity for utilizing such a blended learning approach. And I know that as we continue to approach professional development throughout the corporation, that's one of the things that our principals are going to challenge and charge those who have a great handle is to present in front of their peers the technological opportunities and the advantages that come with some technology that we do offer.
Well, I loved hearing about the student to teacher
Well, and that's
teaching.
and that,
I
yeah.
mean, that's kind of fun.
That's what I was going to conclude with because Mr. Hill, along with Mr. Arnold and others, while at RHS just last week, walked me through how it is that students are actually assisting educators and presenting and creating not only content, but also productive developmental asynchronous lessons for teachers as well as others to really, and even their peers. That's the other thing Mr. Hill referenced, closing that equity gap. As long as we continue to provide access to our students, we can do just that in more ways than one, especially some of those areas where we can't find all the necessary resources to meet our unique needs of our students. So tremendous job, gentlemen. Tremendous job, tremendous work, and we definitely appreciate you all. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Take it. Get home safely.
Well,
Next on our agenda, consent items. Items 5.01 through 5.06.
Madam President, I move to approve the consent items as presented.
Well, second.
Have a motion from Member Stevens, a second from Member Brand. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Action items. First item is donations.
I move to accept the donations as presented.
Second.
A motion by Member Stoltz, second by Member Brand. Questions or comments?
Just have one comment. I don't think we did this last year, and I'm sure we could. And I don't know if anyone else is in favor. I was looking for some soccer donations the other day, and I think it would be nice to have one comprehensive report out. Maybe that's at the end of the fiscal year. Maybe it's at the end of the calendar year. Maybe it's in January. It's just everyone gives so much, and it would be, I don't know, to have it all in one place, right? Where we're kind of really seeing. So this, I know when I was trying to find a certain donation that going through different board docs and meetings. So I just didn't know if we have that, if it's something we add just as a, hey, this is what we did for the whole fiscal year, as a calendar year. I think it would be nice. Or maybe that you know,
Are you looking
Walker
for?
has that.
Would you like a running list and then like bolded what's for the month or something?
Maybe, yeah. I just think it's so nice. It's like, yeah, we see it, and then I've had other, like, I think we've talked about it, things we try to reference. So
We could still put the total at the top and wait for the month and then just have it all listed in there.
yeah, I think that would be.
Or maybe I'm wondering if at the end of the year, just a report. My
Yeah,
only
definitely.
thought with doing it every month is it kind of takes away from the month. I
Yeah.
mean, not that,
Yeah.
I mean, it's all great, but you know, that way, maybe if you wanted to run a report at the end of the
Yeah.
year.
Is that kind of what you're getting?
Yeah, it's just to have that reference point too of, and then we know if we
Like in
want to,
2023, this is the collective total.
like if we want
rather
to
than-
reference or like, when did we get that
Mhm.
big donation for band uniforms?
Yeah.
Right, and instead of trying to go back through or having to email Mrs. Walford to make her do it, you know, it could just be a reference point of a year end or something like that.
Any other questions or comments? Probably just say a thank you to all of those who donated this month. It looks like we have 10 people listed, so thank you very much for your donation. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. 6. We have a request for additional docket.
I move to approve 6.02, the request for additional docket as presented.
I'll second. Motion by member Stevens, a second by member Stoltz. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. 6.03, the resolution 20-1 to transfer appropriation at the beginning of the year.
I move to approve the resolution 2412-1 to transfer appropriation at year end.
Second.
Motion by member Stoltz, a second by member Stevens. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Item 6.04, resolution 2412-2, the temporary emergency transfer to depleted funds.
Move to approve resolution 2412-2, temporary emergency transfer to depleted funds.
A second. Motion by member Pickering, a second by member Stoltz. Questions or comments?
Just if the public is concerned or interested, 6.03 and 6.04 is something that we do annually about this time of the year. It's nothing that.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Action item 6.05 is presented the 2025 school board meetings and work sessions.
I move to approve the 2025 board meeting dates.
Second.
Have a motion by member Stoltz, a second by member Stevens. Questions or comments?
I just have a question. If we, you know, I know last year we switched around how the meetings were going to be, we would just have another item.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Action item 6.06, the request permission to advertise for bids for the Dennis HVAC system.
I move to approve 6.06, the request for permission to advertise for bids for Dennis HVAC as presented.
Second.
Have a motion by member Stevens, a second by member Eloriaga. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Action item 6.07, the amendment to memorandum of agreement between RCS and CIS.
Move to approve 6.07 amendment to memorandum of agreement between RCS and CIS.
Second.
Have a motion from member Pickering, a second from member Brand. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Final action item 6.08, the Head Start program.
I move to approve action item 6.08, program as presented.
Second.
Have a motion by member Stevens, a second by member Eloriaga. Questions or comments?
Yes, I would love to hear just, it, I mean, the administrative content, it's talking about the RCS board, and the requirements and responsibilities. It just sounded very heavy-handed. Is this, I don't remember this, is this normal? That's my question.
A lot of it with regard to grants.
Okay.
In terms of territory. However, I know that our assistant superintendents, Mrs. Elizabeth Markwood and Mrs. Karen Scout, along with other cabinet members, have been working alongside Shine Early Learning, along with others to put this together. So I want to ask that Mrs. Markwood and Mrs. Scout come up to just provide for our community what we are seeking in this grant
Yeah.
journey and quest, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
okay?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I need the whole, no, not the whole overview necessarily, but more just, you know,
Training.
right. RCS school
How
board
are we
must
participating?
also
as school board
receive
members?
appropriate training and technical, what do we
That
get
was gonna be
into?
my question. So it's kind of,
What training are we
What
going
am I
to?
signing up
I,
for?
yeah,
We
and
can
along those
touch on
lines, sort of
three.
like the org chart, right? Like, because it does point to the school board a lot, but how does it roll up with, if there's an executive director, I think it's kind of where I'm going with. How do you guys foresee that?
So, as with any grant that RCS gets, the board is ultimately responsible for the workings of that grant in all aspects. The Head Start program does require that the board receive an annual training, just that, and it can be as simple as we give you a report and we go through all of the protocols that are very normal. That is something that we are learning a lot about Head Start too. So we also have probably more than annual trainings to do as we approach this, should we be awarded. But it basically is not any different than what I would say is kind of a beginning of the year meeting for our principals and other administration. So we basically would review the program, review the goals, review what is going to be happening, and then those aspects that you may or may not have to deal with as a board as we look ahead. So we don't have specifics on exactly what that training is beyond the parameters of the grant once it's awarded. So that you know annually, this is the expectation for funding. This is the expectation for requirements that have to be met on staffing, curriculum. This is very different than an internally run preschool. This is a federally mandated program once you get this grant. And so it's no different than any of our other federal programs. Title I, you guys receive information on Title I on a pretty regular basis. Parents receive information on Title I on a regular basis. What the normal parameters of that grant would be. So it'll look a lot like that. We aren't really scared by that part. I think that the parts that we found to be interesting is how big everything is to get started. So where you're a little nervous about that, that's probably the least of our worries at this point. But we're excited, and we think it'll be a really great opportunity for the students of our county, and it'll be a great opportunity.
Ms. Scalp, as we have discussed, this has been something that has been under heavy consideration because we understand how heavy of a lift. However, Mrs. Margaret, if you can share what has allowed us to overcome such concerns or such
Oh, it's
anxiety.
the impact on the students for the county that'll be coming through the Head Start programs run by RCS and then ultimately into our schools in Richmond, and the impact of the students will be amazing.
How many students will be impacted?
So we're planning early stages with the 4 sites that they're currently with all day programming, which we would have loved to have seen more half day programming, but the Head Starts are really focused on full day programming for students. So it'll be anywhere from probably right about 200 to 225 students.
That's good.
And then potentially looking at maybe adding additional early Head Starts. That's just kind of in the needs assessment that's been ongoing from the beginning. that there is a need for some more early Head Start spots, so that could also be a potential.
And once it all comes to fruition, we'll definitely see the difference in student achievement, K through 3, as we know it's a sweet spot of our program. Thank you so much.
Nicole, does that answer your question on the board?
Well, it sounds like once a year we're gonna have like, I'm guessing that could be built in to a board meeting though, kind of like basically like what we did at AI share out. We would have a Head Start share out. Am I? Yeah.
Kind of like an introduction of what's going to happen.
Sure.
And as you all sort of vet this out, I'm sure that you'll be sharing more with us. You know, I know there's 4 locations, and I'm assuming that's the plan to move forward, but
absolutely.
things change.
Yeah, so the timing, the grant application is due December 20th. And so we wanted to make sure that we had the full approval of the board to pursue this grant. So once we have, Karen and I are having daily meetings with trying to plan all of this. And so especially leading up to our deadline of the 20th. So once we have the grant submitted, and then if negotiations will happen, then along the lines, we'll definitely be able to provide you some more information. But a lot of that is just still developing as we're all planning together. It's 150 pages right now.
Yeah, we're trying to get it to 100.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll be awarded.
Yeah. And just so that you kind of know the timeline, awards happen in late April or May. And then we find out whether there's also a startup portion to this that happens after award. So if that happens, that would be June that we find out. It's a very quick timeline once you know in that April, May. So we won't have information for you until very late in the spring at the best case. But once we get started, we'll be getting started. So that's kind of where the timeline lies. I just don't want any of you wondering because we won't know for a little bit, but yeah.
And going back to Mrs. Gold's questions about the force of such discovery, if there's anything else that we need to prepare you all for, with regard to you all's role, we definitely will be doing this.
Can you share with the public the anticipated 4 locations?
So they're the current Head Start locations right now. There's no change to that. So they are Townsend, which they have different names. So bear with us because we are just going by locations and not by Head Start names. And then there's a West Main Street location. There's a South L location. And then the last one is Mapleton on Northwest. Yes. So those are the 4 current locations. Those will remain. All right.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. We move on to our policy review and updates. First is policy it's item 7.01, policy 168.1.
I moved to group policy.
Great. Yep, looking to send for second reading and approval. Yes. I don't know if it needs a second reading though, does it? If it's has a first reading, it doesn't, right? Yeah.
Okay. So I moved to approve policy 0168.1 of the meeting.
I'll second. And a motion by member Pickering, a second by member Stoltz. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. 7.02, policy 3112.
I move to approve policy 3112.
Second.
Motion from member Stoltz, a second from member Stevens. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Item 7.03, policy 3125.
Madam President, I move to approve policy 3125, the middle program for professional staff on second reading.
Second.
Motion from member Stevens, a second from member Pickering. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Item 7.04, policy 3211.
I move to approve policy 3211, which is required reports and protection of whistleblowers.
Second.
Motion by member Stoltz, second by member Stevens. Questions or comments?
I thought we were gonna make some updates to that one.
Was it that one or 7.08?
I think this.
Oh, this is the required report. Wait,
This is the one where we've added in the district.
we'll do. Well, then do we want to approve that one? If 7.0, because 7.08 has the,
72
it has
hours.
like yeah, the reasonable time. So should we? I don't know.
Or do we want to make that change in 7.04? Is that what you're suggesting also?
Yeah.
So the idea would be that they're consistent, right?
Yeah.
I like the idea of the consistency.
So I have a motion and a second on the table now, but now we're suggesting maybe.
I'm gonna amend the
So
motion
all
to
of
add
those-
the 72-hour notice.
Yes.
72 hour period.
I'd like to amend my motion.
So 2 amendments to the motion that would add the 72 hours as the reasonable time.
I do think too, we talked about, which I don't see it in here, the sort of role or the, reporting into HR. Just that, line I think we discussed about adding that in there. Because a lot of employees just are gonna go to their manager, but if we're really talking whistleblower, right, to have that, like, so they know they can come straight to HR to report issues. I know we talked about that in the policy, which is something I'd really like to do.
So maybe 7.04 and 7.08, we just to go to second reading.
Yeah, we could discuss on.
So maybe
I will
amend.
We'll further amend
Okay.
my motion to just move policy 3211 to well, it'd be third reading, right?
That's what I'm asking. That's what I was just asking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's third reading or just a table?
You hate those
I
third readings.
kind of like the reading because then we keep track of how many times, like, then we'll come back and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, why did it go to?
Reading.
Are you okay with that, Aaron?
I'm fine with
Okay.
it. I'm just.
Like Ross
You too.
So I have a motion to move policy 3211 to a third reading and a second for that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 7-0. 6-0. Item 7.05, the policy 8510.
Move to approve policy 8510, wellness policy on physical activity and nutrition.
Second.
Motion by member Pickering, a second by member Stevens. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. 7.06, policy 144.1.
I move to move policy 0144.1 compensation to second reading.
I'll second.
A motion by member Stevens, a second by member Stoltz. Questions or comments?
I do know, which I think this will be a good one to maybe discuss Monday. About getting some just clearer verbiage around the health insurance.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Item 7.07, policy 4112, the board staff communications.
All right, I'm on a roll.
All right, go for it.
I make a motion that we move policy 4112, the board staff communications to second reading.
Second that.
Okay, and motion by member Stevens, a second by member Brand. Questions? Oh, sorry, member Loriaga. Your voices sound a lot alike to me. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. We've kind of discussed policy 4211, item 7.08, but I need a motion to move back to a third reading.
So moved.
Is that one third or second?
I'm second.
That's gonna be second, yeah. So just for clarification, I moved to, I moved to move, policy 4211 to second reading. There you go.
Second.
I have a motion by member Stolz, a second by member Brand.
Sure.
Right. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 6-0. Next, item 8.0, highlights and discussions. Any board discussions?
I just wanted to say, I should have wrote this down. That alumni night is the 21st. During the boys basketball game. So, we are celebrating 40 years of the Turnout Center and 20 years of RCS cheerleading. Mr. Loriaga, cheerlifter extraordinaire. Seems like one cheerlifter goes up to the board and we get a new cheerlifter. Definitely would love people to come out. Us cheerleaders and cheerlifter are performing again. And I believe
I won't perform.
I think the Love Night Devilettes. Smart words. Oh, Miss Olivia left. That we would love to have you there as well. There's a lot more dancing this time. So, but it was such a good time last year. So I just wanted to make sure that we plug that again. It's great.
This is a packed crowd.
And it's against Connersville.
Oh.
So you have to come, but
I'm not sure where I'm gonna sit, just no.
we're red.
We'll wear red.
Which I'm kind of, with Centerville, you could really pick this out, but
Yes,
it's all gonna be red. So
I have a memorial celebration unless someone else is going to do it. Miss Diane DeSoni, who was a longtime member of the staff of Richmond Community Schools, serving in a lot of different manners, passed away recently. And with her life celebration, obviously was very well attended the other night. Standing room outside, even well after the scheduled time. And oftentimes in our lives, we will never know the impact that we have on our communities or other individuals. And it won't be realized until the time that we close our eyes and we're laying there and people come to celebrate us. This is why it's important that we make our marks now and we show our appreciation now. But it was obvious on the night that she was well respected, well thought of, and a lot of people who knew her then and now cared about her, and that's why there was such celebration for her life. So, prayers to her family, and also congratulations to the memory and the hard work she did for many years for Richmond Community Schools.
yeah, I just wanted to say, so they live next door to my ex-husband. So she was always coming out and bringing the kids candy and cookies and sneaking over. And, so it's very, very sad. So
She was a good person. And she always reached out. Even after she retired, she reached out to everyone, and so my kids will appreciate that too. My wife especially. So.
Thank you.
Any other matters for discussions? Okay. Preview of upcoming meeting and events. We have a special policy review meeting that's open to the public, which is Monday, December 16th from 10 to 11 a.m. here at the regular board meeting at Ford Room. Our next school board work session and business meeting will be Wednesday, January the 8th, 2025. Dr. Wright, the adjournment bell ringer.
Yes, ma'am. President Funk and trustees, I want to ask that Mrs. Hazel Baker rejoin us. I believe she may be also accompanied by a member of our cabinet, maybe not.
Just wanted to celebrate Beale Elementary School and Star Elementary School recently received level 3 for their pass to equality. Fairview Elementary will soon be evaluated soon, so I'm sure they'll be getting their level 3 as well. Research shows that high quality early childhood programs prepare children for future success in school, work, and life. So again, congratulations to all the hard work at Beale and Star.
Tremendous accomplishment.
And I give a special shout out to the teachers, classroom teachers too. So at Star, we have Krista Gilbert, and then of course Melissa Jordan, their administrator, and then at Vale, Brittany Johnson is their classroom teacher, and then Nicole Vandervoort. There's a lot of preparation that goes into getting ready for those level 3 pass to quality rater reviews. So they did a fabulous job. And then Carrie Wolf also helped to assist me in that process. So I just wanted to give them a shout out. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, I would just like to thank the applied skills students that came and serenaded us with Christmas carols just earlier this afternoon, and they were just as delightful and exciting. It was just really put you in the mood and spirit of the holiday season. So thank you.
Nice. All right, meeting adjourned.